Week 6 of the fantasy baseball season. Here's a few prospects I will watch this week. The first prospect, Thomas White of the Miami Marlins. So we've seen prospects come up quickly so far this season, and now with May entering, we're going to see more prospects coming up with it. Teams get an extra year of control now, waiting the extra month into the season. So White in AAA for this Marlin team. You know, they got Junk and Chris Paddock at the back end of their rotation, and I think White or Robbie Snellen, one of them, easily could fill the back end of the rotation for this Marlin team sooner than later. So far for White on the year, 0-2 record, 1.93 ERA, 4 games started, 14 innings under his belt, 24 Ks and a 1.07 whip. So White, the number 14 prospect in all Major League Baseball, number 1 prospect in this Marlin system. And we've seen some starting pitchers already up in the major leagues. Noah Schultz, he got called up a few weeks ago. He's been pitching decent so far. Painter started the season with the Phillies. Rhett Lauder started the season as well in the rotation. And Peyton Tolley got called up last week, and he had a big game for the Red Sox versus the Yankees. So these pitching prospects, they're going to come up, and they're going to make an impact for their teams and obviously fantasy owners. So Thomas White out there, 95% of fantasy leagues. So far the Marlins, they're playing decent baseball, but like I said, could use some help in the back end of the rotation. And I think Thomas White, while he's off to a good start and already in AAA, could be up sooner than later, and wouldn't be surprising if he's up in a few weeks for this Marlin team. And like I said, he's dominating, number 1 prospect for them, and one of the top pitching prospects in Major League Baseball. Next prospect, Bryce Eldridge of the San Francisco Giants, number 1 prospect in the Giant system and number 20 in Major League Baseball. He was up last season for a cup of coffee, 28 at-bats, hit 107 with a 297 on-base percentage, no home runs, 4 RBIs, and a run scored. And so far in AAA, he's off to a nice start, 3 home runs, 14 RBIs, 19 runs scored, a 303 average, and a 405 on-base percentage in 26 games. Eldridge, he can hit the baseball. Big guy at 6'7", 251, where he could definitely go out there and show a lot of power for this San Francisco Giant team. And I think this Giant team needs another bat in the lineup, and especially Rafael Devers. He struggled so far this season in the early going. It's a tough division, obviously, with the Dodgers and the Padres, who are playing good this season. And also Devers, they could just move him to DH and put Eldridge at first. And Devers, he didn't play a lot of first so far this season, where he dealt with a hamstring in DH. Then they had Casey Schmidt and John Carcione at first base. I think Eldridge, he could come up, make an impact for the San Francisco Giant team. Another lefty to get into the lineup. And like I said, he's done it all pretty much in the minor league level for San Francisco, and definitely a prospect to keep an eye on. And he's available in 90% of fantasy leagues. Next prospect, Max Clark of the Detroit Tigers. Max Clark, number 8 prospect in all Major League Baseball, number 1 prospect in this Tigers system. Clark so far in AAA, he's off to a nice start for this Detroit Tiger team. A homer, 11 RBIs, 8 stolen bases already, a 303 average, 377 on base percentage, and then 16 runs scored in 25 games. So he's another guy, pretty much he's done it all throughout the system. We saw they're not worried about pulling up prospects sooner than later. Is this Detroit Tiger team. And now with Javier Baez going down, injury, Max Clark, he could be up pretty soon, any day now, I think, for this Detroit Tiger team, where Javier Baez, he was an all-star last season. Obviously now he's hurt and they need help in the outfield. And Max Clark, he's a guy down there in AAA that's hitting the baseball well. He's not going to strike out a lot, and he's going to bring you stolen bases. He's going to drive in some runs. And like I said, this Tiger team, he's another bat in this lineup. And I think Max Clark, he's ready already in AAA. And with the injury to Baez, like I said, their number 1 prospect in the system, number 8 overall Major League Baseball, and he's out there in 91% of fantasy leagues. Next prospect, Jonah Tung of the New York Mets, number 42 prospect in Major League Baseball, number 1 prospect in the Mets system. I know last season he came up, had a cup of coffee. In a month he played with the Mets in 5 games started, 2-3 record, 7.71 ERA in 18 2/3, 22 Ks, 1.77 whip, and opponents hit 312. And so far this season in Syracuse, he is struggling as well in AAA with the Mets. 1-2 record, 25 1/3, 6 games started, 5.68 ERA, 38 Ks, 1.38 whip, and 211 average. So this Met team most likely going nowhere this season. 10-19 on the season. Kodai Senga just went on the IL. David Peterson, yes, he's inserted back into the starting rotation for this New York Met team. But if they're out of it, especially towards the deadline, there's going to be a spot up for Jonah Tung, and the Mets are going to give him every opportunity to come up and try to pitch well for this Met team, where they've held them out in some deals in the offseason and traded Brandon Sproat away instead to Milwaukee in the Freddie Peralta deal. Jonah Tung, last season he didn't look good. He tried to just blow hitters away with the fastball, and obviously that doesn't work in the major leagues, and his secondary pitches just weren't under control really or hitting the zone, so he's got to work on control a little bit. He's got good K stuff, obviously 38 strikeouts already in 25 and a third so far, and even last season 22 Ks in 18 and 2/3 while he was in the major leagues. And Christian Scott, I don't know if he's going to be in this rotation for long for this New York Met team, and they're one more injury or just another guy struggling for Tung to come up for this Met team. So like I said, he's out there in 95% of fantasy leagues, and it wouldn't be surprising if he's up sooner than later. And the final prospect, Walker Jenkins of the Minnesota Twins. So far, he's struggling in the minor leagues for this Minnesota Twin team. 1 home run, 5 RBIs on the season, 4 stolen bases, 10 runs scored, a .213 average, and a .372 on-base percentage. But this is a Twin team. They're going to be out of it as well by the deadline, I believe, is Minnesota. Jenkins, number 11 prospect in all Major League Baseball, and he's a number 1 prospect in the system for this Minnesota Twin team. And also as well, he's out there in 95% of fantasy leagues. So Minnesota, we know they could use another bat in the lineup. Jenkins, one of the best prospects in all Major League Baseball, like I said, especially he's the number 2 outfielder in all Major League Baseball at a prospect position, and that's still only 21 years old, but we've seen a lot of prospects already this season get called up, and it wouldn't be surprising if Jenkins is up in May, in my opinion, out of this list, and also Max Clark and Bryce Eldridge. So most of this list, these guys are going to be up, I believe, sooner than later, with their teams struggling with injuries, or just teams will wait an extra month to get the extra year control. And that's definitely a big part of this as well with the prospects. But if a team needs help, they're going to call up these players. So Jenkins, like I said, out there in 95% of fantasy leagues, and he's a guy that could be in Minnesota in a few weeks, even though he's struggling. So that's a few prospects I would watch for week 6 of the fantasy baseball season.